An 8-year-old boy sat quietly beside his younger sister in the hospital room. She was dying of leukemia. She needed a blood transfusion to survive. The doctors found that her brother's blood was a perfect match and asked if he would donate a pint to save her life. He thought about it, then agreed. The boy's blood was transfused into the sister's body. Then, in the quiet that followed, the boy turned to the doctor and asked, "How soon until I start to die?" He believed that saving her meant giving up his own life. That is courage in its purest, most innocent form. And while most of us won't face situations like this, the essence of courage remains relevant to our everyday lives. Courage shows when we challenge ourselves to move beyond our comfort zone, stand by our principles, or embark on new paths towards self-improvement. For example, imagine quitting a stable but unfulfilling job to pursue your passion, like starting a YouTube channel or launching a business. Terrifying? Yes. But that leap, it can change everything. So in this video, we're exploring what exactly is courage? Not just philosophically, but scientifically. Why does it matter for your life? What are the benefits? And how can you build it step by step? Let's break down what courage really means. The common understanding is that it's acting in the face of fear. And yes, that is part of it, but according to psychologists, it comes down to 3 key elements. Number 1, intention. It has to be a deliberate, voluntary choice, not something that happens by accident. 2, a noble or meaningful goal, something worthwhile, like saving a life or standing up for what's right. And number 3, there has to be real risk. This can be fear, and it can be physical, emotional, or social, but there has to be uncertainty involved. Let's take an example. Imagine a firefighter charging into a burning building to save a child. That's courageous. Why? Because it's intentional, noble, and risky. But imagine rushing into the same fire just to film a TikTok video. That's recklessness, not bravery. Yeah, it meets the requirements of being intentional and risky, but that's not a noble goal. So now that we have a better definition of courage, let's break it down even more. Courage comes in 3 flavors: general, personal, and moral. General courage is the kind society celebrates, the one that is universally seen as good and worthwhile, like heroic acts in battle, honored with medals and monuments. It's broadly admired. Moral courage adds another layer, standing for injustice despite social risks. Think of whistleblowers exposing corruption. They risk their careers for the greater good. Now, personal courage, that's the intimate stuff. It's unique to you. What one person may consider terrifying is a walk in the park for someone else. For a professional public speaker, addressing a crowd is no big deal. But for someone shy, stepping onto that stage feels like an existential crisis. There's a beautiful story from The Sun magazine from 2006. A mother wrote a correspondence letter saying, quote, "My 9-year-old had cried her heart out, saying over and over that she didn't want to go to school because they were being given a big social studies test that day. She was afraid her learning disabilities would get in the way, and she wouldn't even be able to read the questions, much less know the answers. Her fears grew and grew until they made her physically ill. It took me more than an hour to convince her to get dressed. When we arrived at school, she begged me not to make her go inside. I just can't do it, Mama. I can't take that test. I was afraid I was going to have to physically drag her from the car, when suddenly she wiped her tears, got out, and walked with me to the door. I marveled at her bravery. Will anyone ever understand how much courage it takes for my little girl to face a simple test? That's personal courage. It's quiet, profound, and life-changing. Our brains are wired for safety. They crave the familiar. But honestly, if you want growth, it happens in discomfort. This is what some experts call the courage gap, the space between who you are now and who you could become if you consistently choose courage over comfort. Neuroscience sheds some light here. Courageous acts activate the prefrontal cortex, regulating fear and enabling rational, deliberate choices. Fear stems from the amygdala, but courage overrides it. Now, I'm simplifying here. The actual neuroscience involves multiple brain regions working together in complex ways, but the core principle is solid. Your brain physically changes when you practice courage, making it easier over time. So biologically, courage means overriding primal signals for safety. It's a rational mind quieting the urge to run away from danger. And research shows that acting with courage brings all kinds of benefits. Studies on entrepreneurs show that courageous actions build something called psychological capital, a mix of confidence, hope, optimism, and resilience. These individuals report higher fulfillment and lower stress compared to the average population. And it's not just business owners. A 2022 study found that courage explains nearly 1/4 of differences in job performance. As the study notes, courage helps employees tackle challenges, take initiative, and make bold decisions. And this just makes sense. In social settings, courage shines when you offer constructive feedback or resolve conflicts. It strengthens teamwork and boosts overall productivity. In education, a large study of over 7,600 high school students linked courage to stronger academic performance and greater persistence in the face of difficulties. Now, there's an important caveat with courage. Recall that it entails taking a worthwhile risk. Let me give you an example of a risk that was not worthwhile. A family was driving on a West Coast highway when their children's teddy bear flew out the window. The parents got out of the car and hiked down a cliff to get it. So what started as a noble and somewhat minor risk quickly escalated. Both parents ended up stranded and needed a helicopter rescue. The lesson here is always carefully and constantly reassess the risks. Courage and wisdom should be best friends. And Aristotle's golden mean comes to mind here. He said that courage sits between cowardice and recklessness. So according to Aristotle, the courageous person not only fears rightly, but is also confident about the right things in the right way and at the right time. The great news is that courage is a skill you can build. It might feel awkward at first, but practice makes it natural. The first step is to go inward. Take a hard look at yourself and the stories you tell yourself. If you really want to change your behavior, you have to start by questioning your beliefs. This is basically how reality is built. It starts with a story we tell ourselves about something. That story then creates an emotion. Maybe fear, confidence, or anxiety. Then that feeling drives our behavior. We step up and act or shrink back and hide. Then our behavior produces an outcome. And guess what? That outcome almost always reinforces the original story we told ourselves. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Here's an example. Imagine someone who tells themselves, "I'm awkward at social gatherings, people don't find me interesting." That story creates an emotion like anxiety or dread before they even walk in the door. That feeling drives their behavior. You know who they are. They stand by the snacks, they avoid eye contact, give short answers, and leave early. So what's the outcome? They don't make any real connections. And their conversations, if any, are awkward. And what do you think they tell themselves on the drive home? "See, I knew it. I'm just not good at this." This story is reinforced and the loop continues. Now imagine the same person, but this time they challenge that story. They tell themselves, "I don't need to be the most charming person. I just need to be genuinely curious about one person." Now there's a new emotion, mild nervousness, but also openness. Then there's new behavior. They ask someone a real question. They listen, they actually listen, and they stay present. So what's the outcome? They have one meaningful conversation. Now they tell themselves a new story. Maybe I can do this. Same event, same person, just a different story causing a different outcome, and eventually a totally different life. We all have self-protecting stories to defend ourselves from harsh truths or discomfort. Maybe your story is, "I am not a leader," or "I'm just not a good speaker," or "It's just too late for me to change." What is a story you are telling yourself that is keeping you safe, but also keeping you completely stuck? Once you identify your story, change it. The next step is to change your state, not just mental, but also physical. Research shows that simply having good posture increases confidence and boosts positive emotions. Then comes the hardest part, actually taking action. You don't need to make a massive, terrifying leap. Just start small. Embrace manageable risks. Try a new recipe, speak up in a meeting, or apply for your dream job. And always reassess. Ask yourself, why do I want this? What happens if I take the risk? If I look back at what I've done, will I be proud? Over time, this reduces anxiety and builds confidence. Research shows it can help you focus on what's truly meaningful. Your life is going to expand in direct proportion to how often you're willing to take a risk. Courage is not something you have, it's something you build. Every time you choose to act despite your fear, you're doing a rep at the gym. You don't wait for courage to magically show up, but rather you behave your way into it. And disclaimer, you will fail. That's part of it. But a failure is something that happens, an event, not who you are. Believe that you can change yourself. Research shows that as you see yourself as courageous, you become more so in the process. And journal your courageous acts, build evidence of your progress, and cultivate a courageous identity. Become who you could be. Because as they say, true hell is when the person you are meets the person you could have been. The only thing getting in the way of that is the courage gap, so close it. The whole point of closing the gap is not about achieving a specific goal or getting a promotion. I think the real prize is not what you get, but the person you become. The quality of your life rises with your courage. So, for this new year, what's your goal? Comment below, share it, and commit to it. Make 2026 the year you conquer fear. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more insights on personal growth, and see you next time.